Good everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'll be teaching you on introduction to Python. And what we'll be taking today, first of all, we'll be going through introduction to Python and its uses, installing Python and setting up the development environment, basic arithmetic operations in Python, variables, data types, and basic input or output. So we'll be taking day 1 and day 2 today. So introduction to Python and its uses. What's Python? Python is an object-oriented programming language which uses an interpreter. It was developed by a man called Guido van Rossum in the year 1991. And the name Python was gotten from a BBC show titled Monty Python the Flying Circus. Yeah, Monty Python the Flying Circus. And what are the uses of Python? There's basically no aspect of tech that you can use Python for: embedded programming, web development, machine learning, AI, web application, data analysis, data engineering. Name it, there's nothing you can use Python for. That's why it's a multi-purpose programming language. Yeah, and installing Python and setting up the development environment. So you'll be using an IDE called PyCharm. For you to download this, I will drop the link in the description section, and the interpreter I'll be using, the link to the latest Python interpreter, I will also drop it in the description section. So after this, all else we'll be doing basic arithmetic operations in Python. And before we do that, we have to learn how to print to the console, how to collect users' details from the console, how to receive feedback from the console, how to create a variable, store data in a variable, like that. So how do you print to the console? For you to print to the console, you use the keyword name print, like this, print. And one beauty of PyCharm is that all these keywords are inbuilt, so you don't have to start learning the spelling, typo error, spelling error, stuff like that. So once you're already typing it, it has displayed different options of what you might want. You just pick the one you want. If it's print, if it's printf, like that. But we don't use printf in Python, by the way. We use print in Python. So for you to print to the console, use the print keyword with the parentheses, and inside the parentheses, what's there? It has the double quotes. You just print like it to the console? No. After your double quote, whatever you want to print to the console will be inside the double quote. And what do you want us to print to the console? Anything you want to print to the console, be it string, be it float, be it a variable, you can print it to the console just using this keyword print. So now you're going to print hello world to the console. Hello world to the console. This is how you just type it. Writing print your parentheses followed by a double quote and hello world inside the double quote. You can see that my hello world has changed color to green. My print is taking a color of blue and the parentheses is taking a color of white. And that's also one thing I love about PyCharm. Like, it kind of beautifies your code. The color it gives to keywords, to strings, to integers, to floats, they are different. So you say when you finish writing a code and you see it, you see, wow, it's amazing, this is beautiful. So that's by the way. Back to business. How do you print to the console? Use the print word, type whatever you want to print into the console in between your double quote, and you hit run. And once you run, you see that hello world has been displayed in the console. Process finished. That's the end. So this is basically how you print to the console. You can write multiple lines of print, anything else you want to print to the console. Welcome to my company. Different things. What's your name? But if you look at this code I've written now, there are 3 different lines, and this is kind of making our code ambiguous. So how do you make this non-ambiguous? All these codes can actually be written in one line. How? I'm going to show you now. By using the new line generator, which is /n. This is the new line generator /n. How do you use it in your code? After typing your print and putting whatever you want to print in the double quote. Now, hello world is the first thing we printed to the console, right? What was the next thing we printed? We printed welcome to my company. And now, if you want to print this, if you notice when we run this other code, it's printed something like this to the console. Hello world, welcome to my company. What's your name? And I said all these codes can also be written in one line using just one keyword, print. Removing all this repetition. So how do you do that? Which is what I said, that you can do that by using the new line generator, which is /n. And the first thing we printed to the console before was hello world, followed by welcome to my company. I'm going to put this also on the same line using still the same keyword, print. You use your backward slash with the n letter like this, then you type what you want to print next. Welcome to my company. If you run this, what do you think will be? The welcome to my company is displayed under hello world, still using one line of code. You can print as many things as you want using this one line of code, just with the help of /n. What's your name? If you run this line of code, you see it will still work the same way these 3 lines of code works. Hello world, welcome to my company. What's your name? So why not save the stress of typing print 3 different times and just typing it once and making your code smaller and less ambiguous? So this is basically how you print to the console in Python. Now, let's say for instance, you created a variable. What's a variable? A variable is a container that is being used to store data, right? So now you created a variable and you store the data in it. How do you want to print that variable to the console? Now, you have different types of data types. You have float, you have integer, you have string. What's being printed to the console using your print keyword is a string. The data type is string. Why is a string? Is because if you look at the beginning of it, you have a double quote, and at the end you have a double quote. Whatever is in between a double quote is a string. If you put a number in between double quotes, it won't take it as an integer, it will take it as a string. If you put a float in between a double quote, it won't take it as an integer, it will take it as a string. So whatever is in between your double quotes is a string. Now, if you want to create a variable, how do you create a variable? There are rules in creating a variable. First of all, a number must not start the name of your variable. Second, a space must not be in between your variable name. And third, the name of your variable must not be purely numbers. And there can be numbers in your variable name, but it must not start it. It can be in between. And if you want to put a space in your variable, you don't put space, you put underscore. Something like this. num1, something like this. This is how to create a variable. You can't create a variable by typing one num, no. By chance you underline it, it will give you an error. And you can't also create a variable by just putting the name as digits, no, that's wrong. So this is the ideal way of writing your variable, creating your variable name, and your variable can take as many digits, as many alphabets as possible, but you just know that it's only going to recognize the first 16 letters. So every other thing that you type after that is on your own. So just try and minimize the length of your variable name and follow those rules I've said, which is a number must not start a variable name, there must not be space in between your variable names, and if you have to put space, you want to separate it, you have to use an underscore, and the name of your variable must not all be numbers. Okay, now back to data types. Now in this variable, I'm going to store a data type of integer. What's an integer? Integer is whole numbers. You all know from your basic arithmetic, integers are whole numbers. So let's store a data type of integer in this variable that we've created, num1. Let's say 2. Now if you want to print this 2 to the console, how do you print it? If you say, for instance, okay, you type print, then you put your double quotes, the number is, if you put num_1, which is the name of the variable, what do you think will be printed? Let's run it and see. You can see it printed the number is num_1, but that's not our aim. Our aim is to get the data that is being stored inside the variable num_1. And how do you do that? You use a formatting string, which is called the f string. And how do you write the f string? You just basically put f before your double quote inside your parentheses like this. And the variable, the name of the variable that you want to print should be inside a curly braces, a curly bracket. So if you run this, you see that the data that is being stored inside the variable will be displayed, and you can see the number is 2. So this is how you basically print to the console, print variables to the console in Python. There are different ways of formatting your variable, of printing the data in your variable, but this is like the easiest way that I can think of, and this is the best that I use. There are ways of using an identifier, like that's different types, but using the f string to format it is actually easier. Just put f before your first double quote, and the name of the variable should be inside curly bracket. So like that, you'll be able to access anything that has been stored inside. Now we've treated variable how to print to the console. Now how do you receive data from the console? Like now I typed what is your name, and I want to receive what the person has input, maybe Jerry, whatever your name is. What you want to receive data from the console. You receive data from the console by using the keyword input, like this, input, and you have to put, it's almost the same thing as print, but just that instead of typing print, you use input. So now what's your name? If you run this, what do you think will be displayed in the console? Let's find out. What's your name? Input, what's your name? You can see, if you notice, when you're running the program, when you're using print before, you used to see process finished under, but now because the console is expecting user input, so the program is still running. It has not finished, it has not stopped. So until you give it your input, it's not going to stop, it's going to be like this. So now I'm going to input my name. Can you see process finished? That's the end. This is how you receive data from your console. Now how do you store the data received from your console? You store it by storing it in a variable. As I've earlier said, that a variable is a container that is used to store data. So now I can store this in a variable called name, and input, what's your name? If I run this code now, what's your name? Believe me, this Jerry that I've input here in the console is being stored inside this variable name. if you have a doubt, let's print it. After running it, you see what we printed. Let's now print name. I told you earlier on that to print a variable to the console, use the f string and inside curly bracket the name of the variable. And name of the variable we want to print here is name. Now let's run this code and you see what I'm talking about. What's your name, right? Now what should you put? Let's change it. Let's say our name is which name can I think of? Kingsley. Now your code has not finished running, right? If I press enter, can you see Kingsley is being printed because you printed the variable name. And what's inside the variable name? The data you supplied from the console using the input keyword. That's why Kingsley was being printed to the console. Now you'll be able to treat creating a variable, data types, how to print to the console, how to receive data from the console. Now to perform basic arithmetic operations, because that's what we are going to perform basic arithmetic operations, that means addition, subtraction, multiplication. Those are the basic arithmetic operations that we did in our elementary mathematics. Let's say we have two digits that have been stored in different variables. Now how do you create a variable? What's a variable? If you've forgotten, you can just skip some steps back and rewatch this video. You see the definition of a variable there. I define a variable and how to create a variable. Now I've created these two variables, num1 and num2, and they both store different values. Num1 stores 3 and num4, num2 stores 4. And 4 is what? An integer, right? Okay, now let's say you want to perform a basic arithmetic operation of addition. You want to add these two numbers together. If you add num1 plus num2 normally, what will it give you? Which is 3 plus 4, that's 7, right? But you don't just want to do it like that. You want to perform it by writing a code. It's actually simple. How do you do it? Just create another variable, sum. You can write sum of digits equals to num1 plus num2. Now let's print this. If you print sum of digits, because it's a variable, so I'm going to use the formatting string, which is the f string, with my curly brackets, which inside I put my sum of digits. If you run this code now, what do you think will be displayed in the console? Let's run it and see. Can I see 7? That means it has performed the arithmetic operation addition. It has added num1 and num2 together. So it's actually simple. Do you think you can perform the arithmetic operation subtraction? If you are confident enough, pause the video and give it a go. But if not, I'm going to give you the code now. Okay, we want to subtract, right? And if you look at the addition here, we typed num1 plus num2, right? Now if you want to subtract, what do you think we should do? Create another variable, subtract. I'm going to shorten it, of digits equals to num1 minus num2, which means 3 minus 4, right? Print subtraction of digits. Now if you run this code, what do you think will be displayed in the console? Let's watch out and see. Let's run it. -1, because 3 minus 4 is going to give you -1. You can see that Python is smart. It actually gave you minus because you can actually remove 4 from 3. It's going to give you a negative value, and it's giving you -1, meaning there's actually still 1 remaining. You get? So now this is actually how to perform your basic arithmetic operation. You can go on doing multiplication, division, like that. So right now I'm just going to write the code for multiplication and division. Now, this is division of digits and multiplication of digits. For you to divide numbers, use the forward slash. Write the first number, then forward slash the second number. That's how you divide. And for you to multiply, use the asterisk sign. That's the symbol that represents multiplication. So if you run this code now, what do you think will be displayed in the console? Let's run it and see. 7. Can you see? In our division, it gave us a float. Float means decimal point. Because 3 divided by 4 is actually, that's an improper fraction, which is going to give you decimal. And this is giving us 0.75. And 3 times 4 is 12. Is it? So we can actually make this code more beautiful by printing to the console both string and variable. And how do you do that? You know your variable is being stored inside curly brackets. So outside of the curly bracket, still inside these two double quotes, you put your string. Remember I said anything that is in between two strings is in between two quotes is a string. Now if you notice, this name of our variable also is in between the two double quotes. But why is it not being printed as a string? Because of this curly brackets. You've separated it from all other things that are inside the string. So Python is going to count this as a variable. That means it's a name of something, it's an entity. You get? So now let's modify this code and make it more pleasing. The sum of num1 and num2 is like this. Now, the sum of num1 and num2 is, let's run this code and see what's going to be displayed in the console. You can see I've modified the code, I've made it more pleasing, shall I say, beautify it. Now you can see in the console, the sum of num1 and num2 is 7. The subtraction of num1 and num2 is -1, and on and on and on like that. So this is a beautiful code. This is actually more better than, is way better than what I printed before. Now there's one thing about coding. You see, there are different ways you can write your code. This is one of the simplest ways of performing basic arithmetic operations. There are other ways later on I will be teaching you on how to create your function, and after creating your function I will be teaching you on how to, because after creating your function, that's when you will learn how to create our calculator. But it's with the help of function I will be able to create your calculator. So just call the function. So I will leave you with this. Go back, practice on it, try and modify your codes, see if you can perform square roots and some other arithmetic operations. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy it, click on the subscription logo, like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.